Alrighty, I think we're live. We are indeed. We're looking like we're live, so I'm going to quickly do our little go live post. And let's see. I need to move some of these cats out of the way. There we go. Instagram, share. How do I add to? There we go. And stickers. Link. There we go. That's it, shared to those, share on threads as well. And then we can begin our painting duty. We're live. Painting this fella. And then we'll just do the link. Lovely stuff. Now, we are going to need to change the angle of the camera just a little bit. In fact, change it over to here. And how does this look? Whoop. Still not far enough. Right, so let's flip this, shall we? Transform, flip vertical. I don't want to be leaning too far over my desk, but I guess I've got no choice in this matter. So, yes. We are going to be painting this little guy, who is a Death Guard. And they're nice, chill fellas. So they are, you know, definitely not creatures of plague, pestilence, psychopathy, all of that kind of stuff. Actually, they're not really that psychopathic. They're kind of nice. You know, as far as things go, as far as the Chaos Legions go, I would say Nurgle is... He's almost a nice guy. Almost. But we are going to be painting this like OG Death Guard. And the OG Death Guard were white and green. So we're going to be using... Ooh. We can also flip this horizontal so you can read the text. So, Corax White, first one we're using. Let's get a little bit of water onto our brush. We'll zoom out a little bit actually, so you get to appreciate a bit more of the model, as well as some of the painting stuff. So, good shake of the paint, always very important. And then we're going to take a good little bit of it and plonk it onto our wet palette. So, nice healthy little amount onto that. And we're going to be using white for the vast majority of the armor. I realized I forgot something I have forgotten one of the very important things for warhammering, which is kitchen roll. So let's see. Is it behind here? It is not. Is it over here? It is not. I guess I'm going to just open my new one, which is a big pack anyway. So let's go ahead and grab this. We're also, because it's starting to warm up a little bit, I'm going to step off the camera for just a second while I just go down to one layer, because it's exceptionally warm. My room does get very warm whenever I am streaming because of all the lights and everything. So there we go. That's that. We have this now, which is our kitchen roll. So very nice to see. And we're going to be painting some of this, which is our death guard. So let's grab a nice big sheet of this here. It's super absorbent, this one. I was impressed with how it dealt with the spill at one point in the kitchen, so it was just like, okay, if it's good enough for dealing with the spill, it should be able to handle me painting Warhammer. So there we go, a little bit of that. We've got a lot of paints on my desk at the minute, is the thing. So what we're going to do, where did I put that damn thing? Here it is. I am going to actually use one of the painting handles that you get. So let's move this up to here and everything. Let's see. It's a little more orange than I want it to be at the minute. So how do I, if I cycle? Okay, the cold white is actually giving us a clearer sort of view of what it looks like. So let's go ahead and start dabbing on our clear white onto our armor. We're going to just slather it everywhere, really, onto the armor. Yes, we've base coated in gold, but that there, you know, we can go and fix a lot of the gold afterwards. It'll actually be easier to fix a lot of the gold afterwards. Our main thing is, let's make sure we get a good coverage of Corax white on everything. We're using Corax white as opposed to like layering on white scar or anything. We could use white scar, but I don't want us to. I want us to get a good amount of Corax white on, because Corax white is going to enable us to get a nice, well, we can do like a wash over it. So that's my plan for this. It'll require a bit of a wash, so let's take just another little bit. And we're going to dab on the remainder of here. We're just trying to get as much white coverage as possible on the boots and everything. Even if it does come out sort of patchy, you know, we're not just doing like one layer, we're going to do a couple of layers, in fact. So it looks a little more sort of consistent. So we're dabbing on and trying to get good coverage here. That's our main concern. We don't need to worry about doing the knee pads or anything, because the knee pads I'm going to be doing the same way we did our Lord of Contagion, and I'll show you what I mean by the same way as our Lord of Contagion. This is our Lord of Contagion. So you can see like the little sort of pustule bits on his knee pad is green. He's got like his red insides and all. He's got his shoulder plates. He's got like a lot of white green and gold for stuff. That's going to be the same motif we're going to be running for this guy. So that's basically how we're starting out our thing. So just good healthy dollop of Corax white over pretty much everything. His backpack is going to remain gold, so you know that'll be staying gold. His other little bits will be, as I say, different green and white combos. So we're a lot of Corax white on him. In fact, you know, it's predominantly going to be white armor that he's wearing. And we're just using our brush to dab a lot of Corax white on. Cover as much as we possibly can. Get it all nice and covered. His helmet as well. Do his... I mean, I guess at this point we're almost going to be covering his entire armor, I suppose, in the Corax white before we go on and start doing the other elements. So I guess, you know, we don't need to be as concerned about, oh no, we got this little bit wrong, we got that little bit wrong. It's like, no, we can... And this is the thing I like about Corax white, is it's not entirely just white. You know, it's a little bit grayish in some of the aspects of it. So it works nicely as a base color. So yeah, we'll just slather on, get a good coverage. His backpack we don't worry about, but his armor and everything we're absolutely going to worry about. And just from this here, like, there we go. So he's got white for most of his armor. White and the gold bits, sure. So the white, let's get a little bit more and just do more sort of touch-ups onto it. We're going to dab on and try and just get it a little bit more consistent. Get away from the sort of splotchiness of it. We don't need to completely uniformalize it. It doesn't need to look absolutely perfect because we are going to be doing washes over them and everything. And sometimes those little imperfections, as soon as you start applying shade and everything, those imperfections take on a really nice life of their own. So now we've got a pretty good, I would say, level of coverage of the Corax white. So we can get this out of our way. And let's go for his shoulder pad. We are going to go for Auric Flesh. This is the ones we're going to use for the shoulder pads and the little pustule kind of bits. So we don't really need much of this. We only need quite a small little dollop, in fact. But we'll still pop a little bit onto there and do a little rinse off of our brush. Grab this and let me just actually check something. So let me have a little look. I just need to check my messages on my phone, sorry. There we go, and grab the other one. How do I add to... How do I add a story to my story? direct or... Nope, guess I can't. Screw it, we're doing another story just on my own personal one. And boom. Okie dokes. Sorry about that, just wanted to check something. And it gave an opportunity for the thing to dry as well, so I can't say I'm actually that sorry, if I'm honest. Whoopsie daisies. That was silly of me. I was a very silly biscuit there. Ooh, this'll actually do. This brush. Yeah, I can work with that. So, whoop. Right. Take the cover off this one, and we're just going for, first off, let's get a tiny bit of water and just dab off onto here, and we're going to mix a little bit of this. So for this, we're applying our paint onto the shoulder pads, and we're applying it into the sort of recesses and all. Brush is still too wet, so let's fix that quickly. If we dry that off, maybe that'll be us covered. So let's switch to the other shoulder plate, the other pauldron, while we're at it, and we'll just sort of run it over the little bits where we're trying to really sort of highlight the greenness of them. So the skulls I'm deliberately avoiding, because those I want to have done in a different color. The skulls I want to be well, I want them to be like maybe Morghast bone or something. So I'm hoping you can kind of see the colors starting to coming through. Yeah, great English speaking, Mark. Yep, you know what I mean. You can start to see some of the shade for what it should look like materialize. Now I'll just get a little bit more up here. Go on the top end, and there we go. We've kind of, I think for the most part, got one of the pauldrons sorted. So if I actually decrease the light from this a little bit, nope. If I decrease the light, it doesn't really do me much of a favor. Let's instead zoom in and we'll show you. Yep, that's what we're looking at in terms of the thing. So we want to try and replicate that across both pauldrons. Should have been enough time now for the other pauldron to have dried off, and that'll let us apply our remaining base paint onto this here. So apply this and get that, and lovely stuff. So there we go. That's one, and then the other. So both pauldrons have been done in the green. Now, before I go and start doing the bone colors, we're going to wash our brush. We are going to need a decent chunk of a darker green. So we've already used our Corax White and our Auric Flesh. What we need now is to use some more dark greens. And for our dark green, we are going to use instead Wag Flesh. Or Wag Flesh. So let's grab some of this here and we'll plonk it onto our wet palette. You can see we're not lifting off a huge amount, but you know, enough that we're being all right about things. So grab some of our tissue paper and load that. Right, so we need to do this one here. We already have slightly wet still brush from before, and we're just going to, let's focus that up so you can see the color as I'm applying it onto the cloak. So you can kind of see a little bit of this sort of color coming onto it. We're gonna try and get the edges done first, because the edges are the bits where we run the risk of overextending, and if we overextend, we have to go back over our white layers after. So I'll grab just a teeny touch more, and we're going to try and just go over these little bits. Nice and tidy. Well, we went over one of the metal parts, well, what will be one of the metal parts of a pauldron. So, you know, not the worst. The other bits we can just take and apply a generous portion over the cloak itself. Make sure I get the bottom of it. So we're getting there bit by bit. Little bits of gold I can see sort of sticking out still. And it's going to be trickier, I would imagine, getting the inside of it. So I'll try and do a nice little sweep upwards. And yeah, okay. We're doing alright here. We kinda cocked up there, as I see. Yeah, we definitely cocked up there. So, yep, let's try and get some of this covered off. We're covering up the gold, really. That's our main priority. And getting this here. But we're still seeing a little bit of the gold shining through, which I think actually looks kind of pretty. Who knows, maybe once we apply like Poxwalker or something as a shade over, maybe that's going to look absolutely gorgeous. But now we're left with the really difficult task of getting the bit on the inside of the model. And we've got most of it. Well, most of the visible bit of it. So even when you look through, you can see there's like not that reflectiveness. You can see the green there still. We still need just a little bit more, so we do. So let's grab a little bit more of our wag flesh, and we'll apply some more onto our wet palette. Rinse our brush, and then use this to finish off the interior cloak. I'm saying interior because I don't know another better way to describe it. So let's push some of the paint along the side. Try to get a good coverage. It's not ideal, but I would say we're most of the way there, so I can use the remainder of this to cover up the outside portions. If we can get the interior to some kind of a nice looking thing, we're most of the way there. And the exterior, I would say, I'm happy with that as how it looks. So that is the cloak taken care of. Now, we are going to need to do a couple of other things. That nurgling, we have ideas for how to deal with it. For our other ones, yes, so the shoulder plates metal portion is going to be Retributor armor. We're going to use that for it. So let's grab a decent-ish wee portion. You know what? Yeah. That's a good amount we've just popped onto our palette there. I'm happy with that, and we should be able to use some of it. So let's give it a try and see what we can do to get it into a nice golden sort of color. So we're going to take a little bit of this here, and we just want to run it over the outside of the pauldrons. I can never tell just how much I'm going to need for some of these aspects. But I can see with the way this dips, edge highlighting this metal is going to be much easier than some of the other parts. This is just a really cooperative pauldron shape. Really cooperative, so I like this shape. Indeed. We'll get a bit more on this. Go around the upper side of it. Is this? No, it's not within frame. Sorry about that. I'm still getting used to camera angles for painting Warhammers. But we're trying to go for just trying to get into the little crevices and all of that kind of stuff.
Where am I?
So we've got a nice golden metallic pauldron. Very important, because this here, let's refocus. You can see here we're going for like the white, green, and gold. It's not because this is the Republican Marine. There's not anything about that there. Nope. This particular Chaos fella does not have a viewpoint on Irish unity. He doesn't. This particular one just thinks that green, white, and gold are very nice complementary colors for each other. As hopefully you might agree that those look good as colors together. So let's get the other pauldron done. It might be a bit easier to do because we don't have to worry about a nurgling that's hanging on to it. So, getting there a little bit at a time with these here, but that's our important thing, is we're not going to try and rush, because if I try and be quick about this, I will make myself slower, because I will then make it so I have to do constant, oh, that's a mistake, fix it, and then in fixing my mistake, I make a mistake, and have to go back and fix more, and fix more, and fix more. So instead, we're just going for taking our time and enjoying the process. So a little tiny touch more onto here. Aha, there we go. Lovely stuff. So, his shoulder plates are done. For the most part. He obviously is a very spiky boy. So those spikes are... we're going to view them as like bony sort of growth. Well, they're not quite bony. Maybe like a... branches, vines, thorns, stuff like that, you know? That's what we're dealing with here. God, I love that flavor. Tastes like you could clean a floor with it. Yeah, you can see on his friend here, this is the kind of thing I want to go for those horns. So for that, we're going to go with Xandri Dust. That's what we're going with. Xandri Dust for the start. Let's take a little bit of this, pop it onto our brush, and pop it onto the palette. Lovely. Grab that. And see. So, the one on his shoulder plate is going to be the most delicate one, I would say. So let's try and be a little bit gentle with it. I'm pushing my brush into the gap at the start, so at that point I'm pushing the pigment down into where it meets the rest of his plate. And just from that I can see did an okay-ish job there. Flip it over, do the same sort of thing. Push down in and drag it up. We just want this to go into the gaps, and we want to try and get a nice nice sort of good, healthy coverage. Oh, it does look like it's breaking into multiple sort of things, so this might be thorns. I could never tell before this one. It's like, okay, with the Death Guard, are we talking like, is this like a necromorph thing? Like they're going to look like the slashers eventually? Or are we looking like, you know, trees, thorns, that sort of thing? But it does track that it would be like thorns and trees and stuff like that, because, you know, they do call him like Papa Nurgle, and they talk about him being all very in favor of life and all. Just, you know, maybe in different forms than you're originally expecting. He's a big fan of bacteria and microbes, all that kind of stuff. So there we go. He's got a shoulder spike. Oh god, that was horrendously out of focus. But yeah, that's a little bit of that. So we're going to take this here, and we're going to hold on to this one with that, because we want to also try and blend it down a little bit. So we're going to take some of the Morghast bone, and we're going to take another brush, and we are going to try our hand at wet blending. And this is either going to go really, really well or really, really badly. I'm gonna try and get like a nice subtle blend between the ones. So let's get a little bit of water onto this here, just to wet the bristles and everything. And then we're going to be lifting out some Morghast bone. So we want the tip of this here to be the lighter shade. I've probably applied way too much onto our wet palette there, but if this works, hip hip hooray. Oh god, this is not sealing really very well. I need to decake that. But afterwards, right. So load up a good chunk of that, and we'll load up a healthy amount of this here. So I want to create like a band around this here, around about here of this. So I'm going to create a point where it's quite light by comparison, and while it's still wet, we're going to try and take little bits of this, and if I brush this down like this, this might just work. So I think, I don't know just quite how visible it is as a thing. Like the tip of it is almost a lighter shade. It's very, very subtle. I will say that. It's very subtle. But I think I successfully did a wet blend. Which, you know, yay me. Yay me being able to do that. Now we can get rid of this here. We obviously are going to need a good bit more Xandri dust because his backpack thing there is very, very big. Maybe if I lift that out and just plonk a whole pile on. And let's put more of this down. We're gonna need a lot of this, in fact. So let's... Good, healthy amount of that. Yay! We fixed it! It closed with double click there, which was nice. So... Got those. And now... we can... take a pile of this. And we're running it... from his backpack upwards. So let's get as much as we possibly can. We'll do a good chunk of the bits connected to his backpack. Because those are probably more difficult. So if we can get the horns sorted from the backpack upwards, the backpack we can have as just our sort of, you know, oh, we'll do touch-ups on it, obviously, but will mostly be there anyway. So we can see on his backpack there, you know, yes, obviously we've kind of forked one side of it, but still, let's go ahead and push the branches all the way up and around. Oh boy, that was way more than I intended to load on, but you know something, may be of benefit to us. Because we actually just push it along the thing and then, yeah. Well, alright then. Okay. Our branch part coming out of his backpack is nearing the base coat. You know, we've nearly coated the entirety of it. And that is a healthy little thing to have. So let's get a bit more onto here. And we're gonna just sort these last wee bits. The bell we're going to have to sort of do little touch-ups on. But you know, it's fine. No one has ever painted a model flawlessly. There is always some kind of mistake we can always find with our models that we paint. Happens every single time. Will happen every single time. And we just do what we can with it. So we'll grab a bit of this here. And we want to try a little bit of our wet blend again. So again, we load up both of these. And I want the thing to start from around about here. So it's quite a noticeable difference in it. Quite a noticeable difference indeed, the two shades, which I'm hoping then means if we take little bits of this and brush it up towards we can start to get little bits of blending done. Wet it out, thin it out and everything. And it actually has kind of a nice wee blend to it. So yeah, happy with that. So that was our Morghast bone. We are going to continue using our Morghast bone because we actually have a couple of other wee bony bits we can add onto the design. So, excuse me, let's do the shoulder pads for it. In here we have a few skulls on his pauldron. Let's try and get these here painted up. So let's do a little bit onto those there. I feel like I used a bit too much on that one. So we can take some of what was overused on the first one and we'll just wipe it off of it and wipe it onto our second one. And then our third one, very similar concept. We just load some more onto that there. And hopefully, does that? Yeah, you can kind of see what I'm after there. So, that's that bit done. We've got the shoulder plates, we've got the skull, we've got the tree branch things. We will have a few different things we have to do on each of those, obviously. But while we're in here, we're going to take a little bit of our green off of our wet palette, and we're just going to do just the little pustule or whatever it is, fungal pod or something, on his knee. And he has a few sort of things on his other knee, but none of them seem particularly fungally. There's a good number of unusual shapes, so we're going to paint those unusual shapes. Let's see, what color did we do them on our other fella? We had this here guy. And this here guy, we painted those like a reddish color. So we did that like almost a visceral kind of shade. So let's grab a visceral shade from our shelf. Screamer pink. We'll do that there because it's quite a dark one. And we can accent it with a little bit of pink horror. Lovely. So, let's paint some gross fleshy shapes. He's going to have some of those, and we're also going to have those be the primary colors for like the pipes going through his armor and everything. We want it to look like, oh, the color thing? Yeah, that's like blood and guts and stuff like that. So we're going for Screamer Pink. We'll get a small-ish, not tiny, but you know, not a great big amount either. We don't want that. So, okie dokos. Let's take some. We're gonna use, in fact, we're gonna use our smaller brush so that we can get into the little gaps and sort of paint it on. Now, one of the problems here is if the red goes somewhere where it looks like the tentacle hasn't touched, we run into a problem. The problem being that that's a mistake. If the tentacles touched it, that's not a mistake. That's just blood. So, let's get some of this here. Do the back end for it. Down into that gap there. So we've kind of got like the little red bits on his thing. Let's see. I might actually move this here. Let's move this over to about here and have this sort of shine onto from this angle. So yes, it is obviously very bright. We can go ahead and reduce the brightness of it. We don't want it just making everything look white, but it'll be handy for us to have a light that's actually on the point of contact, or like shining on it at reasonable angle for what you would expect to need to paint from. So it gives me a lot more freedom on some of these things. This boot is very visceral. Oh wow, this guy's right foot is very, very ugly. A lot of not very nice colors to it. It's almost like basically just a mound of just biological matter, which is, you know, I guess every foot is basically just a mound of biological matter, but this guy barely has a boot on this foot. You know, there's a lot of stuff spilling out. So let's try and get some of this. So, yep. Oh boy. This foot is... This is gross. My dude needs a chiropodist or something. Is that what you call a foot doctor? Once this is painted, like his foot bit is painted, then yep, there we go. So you can see all of the red on this foot. So now we can move this back to an overhead view. Damn. Okay, maybe not that overhead. Okay, damn it. Would you like to not rotate and smack like that? There we go. Okay, lovely. It's going to fall at some point. I know for a fact it is. It will just happen. But we can take the opportunity now to apply this same red coloring inside like the pipes on his armor. So any of the wee sort of bits that look like breathing tubes and everything, we're gonna make these, ooh, excuse me. We're gonna make these here look like they're just pumping meat through the pipes. Oh, we just found another little bit under his backpack. Oh yeah. This guy is gonna be gross. Oh my goodness. Even his back and everything is so meaty. This guy is just a big mass of tissue looking almost like he's inside armor. But in terms of like, he's spilling out. Like he is spilling out. I like this guy. So, you know, here he is. Seems a normal enough fella. Except when you turn it around, he is a very, very meaty fella. There is a lot of this guy that is just gross. And I like that. I appreciate that. Gross is a nice thing to paint, in my opinion. Like, I am a fan of painting the grosser models. They're disgusting, but that's so much more interesting. So yes, let's take a little bit of our Retributor armor because we've got some corrections we have to do. We go over this. We're just going to try and sort of do that as well as separating. We're doing a bit of gold as a trim. We want to do gold trim on things like his gauntlets and all his different armor pieces. We don't want them to just be white. We want gold on there too. And ooh, we can do his knuckles in gold as well, which is nice. So, lovely. A little bit more of this. Get some of these here. Gold into the sort of metallic, or like the bits that almost look like a leathery kind of thing. Definitely want his like breathing apparatus up here to be gold. So let's get a good layer of gold. Actually, you know what? Maybe his entire upper chest plate bit. Do we keep white? Maybe we do green on that there bit, but what we do know we need, let's do a little bit of gold over these here bits of trim. And then we'll do green for that. His helmet maybe will be green as well. Let's do this here bit though, his iron halo kind of thing. It's going to be in our gold coloring. So come on. Good bit of Retributor armor to use on these. But we're not using too much gold on some of the other bits, so we may as well. And also we want gold all over his backpack. We've got a couple of bits that are still black on his backpack and all, but I kind of like that. I'm digging that for a thing, you know. It looks burnished kind of thing. So these here bits running into your helmet definitely be gold, but these other bits will leave white, and then we'll do your helmet in green as well. So let's check the other bits of his. Yep, gonna need to do a little bit more on here just to rectify our previous overindulgence in Corax white. The chains we have in gold at the moment. They won't always be gold. They will be converted into lead belcher, I think we should use for it. But either way, you know, it's not a bad looking start. You know, a lot of sort of meatiness to it. So let's grab some more green, which will do his knee pad and his helmet in green, using the light green, the auric flesh, as opposed to the other one. We're not going to use wag flesh, let's use auric flesh. Paint a good bit of this on. Okay, got that. And then we'll do his helmet as well. So a little bit more of this down well into the recesses. Got these here sorted, and we'll try and get just a little bit more of the top of his helmet. Lovely. So, we're going to need to do... Ooh, I just spotted a little bit more for the red. A little bit more red. Gonna work with that. So let's take just the teeniest wee dab of red, because it's not much that's peeking out. But you can see there is a little bit. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. That's very nice, in fact. Oh, that's like a flap of meat. That's a... I'm not gonna say what flap of meat might otherwise be described as if you were to shorten that into another term, because I feel like that would just be invoking immaturity, you know? And we want to be nice, sophisticated, grown-up individuals, don't we? Yes, we do. So this guy, he's ugly. He's ugly. A lot of ugliness to him. A lot of that, in fact. So, now, we've got those main bits done. We need to do a couple of other wee bits. So, the chains and his plasma pistol. Chains and plasma pistol are going to be silvery. So, you know what? We're gonna risk it for a biscuit. We're gonna try something here. We're gonna keep it with Retributor armor base. Let's see what happens if we apply Stormhost Silver directly over Retributor armor base. So let's see. We're just trying to get the chain portions of some of his things. Just realized. A little bit silly biscuit there, being out of frame and all. But the Stormhost Silver over Retributor Armor Gold, I'm not averse to. This is actually coming out nicely. This is coming out very nicely, in fact. I suppose I've got enough that I'm basically covering it, but also at the same time, it's leaving some of the bits with an almost goldish sheen, but then it looks like the metal is sort of reflecting the metal or something. So yeah, this might end up working very nicely. A little bit more of this, and we'll paint some on. We haven't done any shading yet. Shading I like doing for a lot of my things as a wash at the end. Right. Getting there nicely with these things. So, a little bit of the Stormhost Silver, which will paint over these bits. So, our spiky fella here is actually proving to be extremely fun to deal with. Ordinarily, I would think spiky fella, he's going to be a pain in the ass. But this guy's a wee charmer, so he's just being so cooperative, and we're so happy with him. We're not proud of him just yet, but we will be. Let's get our bell covering done. So the chain, we're going to paint in the silver. And we keep the bell gold. Lovely stuff. And yep, a little bit of silver into the interior section. You can see there. A little bit in we go. And perfection itself. This here bundle thing, I don't quite know what it is. You're gonna be silver. You're some kind of a relic thing. And you're gonna be silver. This thing up here, also going to be silver. I don't know what they are, but I don't care that much either. They look cool. Now, some of these bells are going to be silver. These little ones up here will be silver, except for the rim. The rim of the bell we're going to paint to be gold. Okay, so I think we're looking pretty cool. We are going to do the Nurgling now. Nurgling is going to be our next one, and then we'll do the little details before we do a wash. Oh, our plasma pistol. Forgot about the plasma pistol. Let's get you done in gold. Not gold, silver. We need Stormhost silver, and we need more of it. Where did I put it? Here it is. So a bit more of this. Hey, duck memes. Thank you very much. Hey. The number of likes is that funny number. Not the 421. The other one. The funnier one. The better one. Mostly because I hate the smell of weed. Hate the smell of it. I was at a concert on Sunday and someone was impolite beyond belief. They just went out to the smoking area to grab a bit of fresh air, you know, because they don't let you out the front. And this person, he was smoking weed, clearly smoking weed, and he just took an inhale, looked me straight in the face, and just exhaled, just blew all the smoke into my face, made me feel nauseous as hell. So yeah. That combined with the fact that the venue smelled of piss, I did not stay about for the whole show. Amazingly. £60 ticket and I was made nauseous by some dickhead and forced to leave to not vomit. And it was Sepultura's last ever tour. I believe. Last ever tour. And I missed it because of some dickhead. Wasn't keen on that. Missed Ginger playing as well. Like the... I don't know what they are. Is it Ukrainian or something? The band that has the vocalist Tatiana or something, who just incredible voice. She's able to do like the low end and the high end and everything. She can go into a growl from a clean vocal, and you're like, oh wow. Then when you hear her push into some of the like other parts, you're like, oh my goodness gracious me, that is beyond impressive. Okay, so we've got those bits. We're gonna keep this top plated bit, we're gonna keep it in gold. So let's do this here, wash down to this, and apply a bit more along the top. And we're also going to have to do the plasma coil. So the plasma coils will be a relatively simple color scheme. Plasma, for me, I always think of plasma as being blue. So that's what we are going to do with our plasma. We're going to take the tiniest little element of blue, and we're using Lutheran blue for that. We're going to have a base of Calidor Sky. Oop. So Calidor Sky, Lutheran blue, Blue Horror, and Skink blue, I think it is, that we've got. So we've got that little bit of blue there. We have our dark Calidor Sky, so we're basing it in blue. Then we add blue, and then, amazingly, we're going to add blue. So this here, a little bit of this. Let's take it and base coat. So into here. Along our coils, we go along the edge, and the reason I want to do this in a dark blue and not use like the gold and all, I don't want this to be very reflective. I want this to be more a case of in between the coils. You should, I'm hoping, get the sense that this is blue. This is like a blue kind of plasma. So if we get down into the recesses in blue, lovely jubbly, you know? So we need a little bit more. We were a little bit too stingy with our Calidor Sky. So just a tiny touch more. Mix that together and apply it over. And we want to run this down in between the coils. Okay, so we've got most of it, but we still have a bit too much gold. We were too stingy again. So let's take even more. So, yep. I did think for a second there, I was like, am I out of frame? Yeah. Yeah, I was. So, we've got the blue applied. There is the base done. We're obviously going to have to go over some of the mistakes. But the dark blue is sorted. Those are our plasma coils. If I move this a little bit more this way, okay, yep, kind of. There we go. No. Let's get our bristles together. Ooh, yeah. That's an ugly looking fella. He's not a pretty one. I will give you that for free. He's got a lot going on in the health problem side of things. So, run this over the top of the coils. And that's our main thing. We want this run it over the top, and you can see a little bit of the blue shadows in there. So a little bit more of this. So, you've got that. You can see the coils and everything. Yeah, it's not the prettiest, but we want to highlight out some of the bits. So, for highlighting it out, we are going to go with, where are we? Blue Horror. We take a little bit of Blue Horror, alright? Ooh, you've separated. So there we go. Oh, much better. Much, much better. Take this and apply it to there. Now, we want our Blue Horror to go along we want Blue Horror. Let's wipe it down like this. And we want it running along the sides of the coils. We don't want it running along the top. Just along the sides. And then at that point, you end up with a little bit of a gradient sort of thing. But what we can do then, take a little bit with this onto one brush, onto another brush, too wide. This has a finer point. We'll take a little bit of this. And we're going to brush this along the sides. Immediately swap to our other brush. Run it along there. And then we are going to take the other brush, a bit more of this. Run it along the center and a little bit out to the edges. And we kind of have a little bit of a gradient for the plasma. And let's just get a little bit more of the blue horror into it. We'll run it along the edges. And along our side points. And yeah, quick little brush along the top, and oh, that's nice actually. Because then it looks like not all of the plasma coils are heated at the same sort of rate. It looks like the thing's a little bit borked, honestly. And Death Guard stuff, well, it would make sense that sometimes Death Guard stuff might be just a little bit borked. So, there we go. Now we'll get a little bit of our Retributor armor and just repair our gold plate on the side and the front of the barrel. And same again. Lovely jubbly. So that's that done. Whoopsie. Didn't realize how silly I had been there. So currently this is how he looks. Let's focus on doing a last little bit of trim on some of the areas of his armor. So a little bit more on here. So there we go, that's a bit more trim. We'll add a little bit onto in here. But not too much, because that might be meat wrapping around. I have a feeling that is meat wrapping around. And yes, now we are going to go on to our nerdling that's hanging onto him. So, nerdling we are going to paint with, where are we? Nerdling buddy, where are you? Aha! Yes! Ion Rack Skin. Ion Rack Spin? No, Skin. We'll get a good wee bit of this here onto our wet palette, because we're probably going to need a good little hefty dose of it. Ooh, I love when you hear the sound of it properly getting done. Right. Hopefully that's a good wee thorough wash. Looks like, yeah, we got all the stuff potentially off of it. Lovely. So, Nurgling isn't that small, but you know what? It's too small to use some of the things. So we're going to go ahead and use this small brush still. But we'll dab little bits onto him, so we give a good sort of even coverage. So we're dabbing a good chunk onto him, which is lovely. Trying to get a little bit more of the sort of greenish color to him. Right, a little bit of a brush off, because dabbing does tend to separate the bristles just a little bit. So let's get the back of them done and everything. I mean, he's adorable, this little Nurgling fella. I mean, all Nurglings are adorable. They are. Even if you play like Space Marines, even if you play like Black Templars, you have to admit, Nurglings are pretty damn cute. You know, they just seem so mischievous. I mean, anything with lings in the name, you know, Nurglings, Banelings, it's just always guaranteed to be something adorable that you want to hug, but you don't want it to hug you. That's generally how anything with lings in its name would tend to be. For example, Banelings. Banelings are adorable. Just trying to make sure I get a good clean of my brush here. And right, okay, so you've got that. So, Screaming Skull. This could be a nice little layer paint to use for the teeth, because Screaming Skull sounds like it'd work very well on a skeleton, for example. We're going to apply just a tooty little amount. There we go. Applied onto his teeth there. And let's get a little bit of, for the eyes, we're going to use a little bit of Averland Sunset. And we just need the tiniest little dab. And let's go apply. So his eye, we've got the yellow bit of it, and we want something darker for the pupil. So let's go for, we're going to go for a tiny little bit of Zandri Dust for the center. He's got the yellow and then that little bit. We want his mouth to be a little bit different from the ion rack. So let's take a little bit of Xandri dust and we're going to run along the outside of his mouth so we show it as a different color. And I suppose the inside of his mouth too. Maybe that's what we need. That'll maybe make his teeth stand out more. So let's take a good chunk of this and run it down in. Ooh, yeah. His mouth looks nice and different there. And yes, what should we do for the little pustules? Well, pustules, we're going to put a very yellow pustule on his belly. Like this here. We want these to be very yellow, you know, nice gross colors, so he looks just disgusting. Anything that looks slightly raised on him we're going to do in Averland Sunset, so that when we apply Poxwalker over it, the Poxwalker will sit down into these things, and we're almost like these here, we're almost dabbing them, so we can sort of get nicely into it. So there, yeah, you can see the little bits of yellow with it, yellow all over it. So I think it's time now for us to do a couple of other wee bits just to clear up. Inside of the bell, we need Stormhost Silver. And we want it for these little pieces here. These bits inside the bell are basically the same things as outside of the bell. So I don't know if you can actually see down in. You can kind of. So let's get these done and brush the chain down in. Lovely. We are going to need the Morghast bone for the skulls on the outside of the bell. So let's take Morghast bone here, and we need these here done in Morghast. A little bit more for this second one. And get our third while we're at it. So there we go. There's those three. Ooh, oh, that could be, you know what? Yeah. On the back side of the bell, it makes no sense whatsoever, except for the fact that I want to. So I probably used a little too much Averland there. I definitely got too much watery medium for it. So that is going to take ages to dry that part. but that will be like pustules. So let's, while we've got a dry brush, let's brush off and try and get in to the recesses. And brush off. And ooh, that's maybe actually made this look somewhat nice, the way that is. If we can thin down a nice greenish kind of thing, or even make a mix of, ooh, yeah, there's an idea. We're gonna take a little bit of the yellow pigment and we're gonna mix it with the ion rack. So we now have a yellowy, greeny sort of color. And let's bring a little bit more green in. And we can just dab little tiny bits on, not uniform, we're not going to cover the wee pus bits, but we're going to change the color of a couple little points on them. And that will make it so when we do our other little changes, let's just take, we're not going to bother with the whole cleaning absolutely everything. Yeah, no. We're just going to get some more ion rack and just run it over his legs and feet. And that's us nicely covered on that one. Right, so now we have some shading to do. So shading, let's get a good solid amount onto a brush. And we'll run it onto in here. Okay, so good chunk on our brush, and we're gonna wash it over our cloak. So we're using Poxwalker at the moment, and we're washing it over our cloak. We're also going to take a little bit and apply it onto our green sections. And this will help to give a nice darkish green on that. Let's do the shoulder plates. And I don't care if we wash it over the skulls and all. We'll still go ahead with that. So grab another good healthy amount, which will run over our shoulder plates here. So there we go. Nice little healthy touch on that. Let's get a good amount onto our Poxwalker. Not our Poxwalker, our Nurgling. Our Nurgling will benefit from a good amount. So let's get straight from the bottle. I don't care if it's not recommended, we're going for it. You know, we want him to look very gross. And if he doesn't have a uniform skin tone, He's a freaking nerdling. What do you expect? So, more onto the back end of them and everything. And make sure he looks like everything he touches gets stained. So, there he is chilling there. A little bit gross on the back end. Lovely. Now, the remainder of the armor, the white portions of the armor. For that, we're going to use a different shade. We're going to use the one that I'm pretty sure every Warhammer person has, Agrax Earth Shade. This will just give everything a darkish tinge. So, let's make sure we get absolutely everything with this sort of... it's quite a brownish one. Looks very earthy, as you may have guessed. But that's what we're after. We want him to look... well, as though he's one with nature. So he is going to be quite well stained. Make sure we get the front section and all too. It also doesn't hurt the fact that it's not quite consistent when you brush it on like this. You know, it's... as a matter of fact, it's very inconsistent when you're brushing it straight from pot to model. Which is good. So get the other legs and all, and then that should be us armor wise. Should look pretty okay. Oh yeah. Okay. That right there. Lovely to see. Very happy with how we've done with that. So, what time are we now? We're coming up on 10 to 11. We're gonna switch this. We're not... it's not hitting how we want it to. So let's take a little bit more of our base red. We're going to run it through. His other foot is also going to be just a big mangled fleshy mess. So look at that right there. Oh yeah. This right here is very, very good to me. Now, our other one, what should we do for this here thing? Let's, you know what? Yeah, let's go for it. this pipe is carrying meat. There's half. Let's get the other wee bits. So, what do we think? I know what I think. I think I like him. And maybe, actually, let's make sure we get our brush nicely taken care of. So, should be it. Hopefully. Oh yeah, that looks like I got everything off there. Let's take the other one here. Still a little bit separated, so clearly we've got a bit of a problem. Oh yeah, you're not separated anymore. So, into the little bits where do we go? Yeah, I think we're... I was such a silly biscuit. I didn't do his left at all. So let's rectify this real quick. I completely forgot about his left arm. So let's try and make sure we get... I want to try and get these wee bits, but leave the trim intact. So yeah, as soon as this dries, we should be able to then go in and paint it. Or go in and shade it. Alrighty. That was almost very silly of us. Matter of fact, it was very silly of us, but we're not going to beat ourselves up too much. Take just a touch of Agrak's Earthshade, and we're gonna wash it over our Korax White. And there we go. Lovely. Ooh. Good bit of discoloration there, but hey, what odds? So, that is 2 hours that took us. But, in that 2 hours, we painted, well, not even 2 hours, took us 1 hour 55. So let's see what we can do for our last one. We could do, let's see, we could do like Ethereum blue, maybe? Could we maybe do a contrast or something? Ooh. Here's something we'll do. Here's something we'll do. We're gonna do a little bit of a prototype. So yeah, we're going to need to use very little of it, but let's try on top of our nurgling some plague bearer flesh. We are not gonna need much at all. Because this is a contrast one. I mean, we shouldn't really be dabbing bottles straight onto it, but I haven't used Plague Bearer flesh yet. And you know something? If we just take a little bit off of the thing and just brush it straight on, then at that point, it doesn't undo anything we did before. It's just sort of almost emphasizing, which I like as a thing. So yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that right there. Gorgeous. So happy with that. And just rinse this. I have an idea for the pustules as well. Oh boy, yeah. Which should we use? Ooh. Skeleton Horde? Or do we go for Nazdrag Yellow? Let's see. That's Nazdrag. That's Skeleton. We're gonna go for Nazdrag. Nazdrag Yellow. And we're gonna apply it solely to the little pustules. So yes, some people think contrasts are cheating, but personally I don't. Okay, yep, I think we're starting to get these looking real nice and gross. Lovely. Oh yeah, as that settles, that's looking very good. Very good indeed. So now for the red bits, the fleshy color stuff. Gotta be Flesh Terror's red. A little bit of that washed over, and that will round us out for the details. So let's see how quickly we can Flesh Terror's red all the fleshy bits. Oh yeah. we're not going to do the cabling or anything in it, because the cabling is not fleshy in my opinion. The cabling is just carrying like meat sort of stuff, but it's not fleshy itself. So, oh yeah, good bunch of flesh tearers red on here. Make it very wet looking. Go down into these bits, get a good chunk done. We want it looking like our cup runneth over. So let's make sure we get into all the little nooks and crannies with this. We gotta sort of brush some of it away. And let's see, make sure we get plenty into here. Make sure we cover this and this. Oh, almost forgot this bit up here. So let's try and get that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is the kind of thing we're after. So, while we've still got little bits of that, we're gonna try and put little bits of, not that one, not that one. Where did I put it? Nazdrag yellow. Yes, we're gonna try and put little bits of Nazdrag yellow in as well with the fleshy bits. Because we want it to mix with the thing and give the illusion of, you know, wet, not very healthy meat. We want it to look a little bit plaguey, a little bit pestilent. And if we add Nazdrag yellow in a good amount, it's almost a greeny-ish sort of combined color it gets, but it looks very, very sickly. So that's what we're after. We want this to look unwell. And now that we've got a little bit of Nazdrag yellow in with it, let's add a little bit of Plague Bearer's flesh, because we want the green, the yellow, and the red together. So we are applying a lot of different things, all in the same sort of motif, but you know, it's to make it look as unwell as possible. So that is our goal. Make him look really, really unwell. So there we go. All of those sorts of bits handled. And we will just finish up with one last tiny touch before we leave him to dry. A very important tiny touch. we're going to make this bit here nice and silver. We'll also do the little rivets. So, yeah, I'm on. So, there we go. This guy right here is our fella. You know what, let's add just a little bit more Oxwalker to his helmet. That'll be our last bit. A good application onto his helmet. So, there we go. This here is our second Death Guard guy we've painted. And I will show him side by side with his buddy. So this guy here is named Cuddles, because he likes going up and giving you hugs and cuddles. And then this guy here, who knows? Who knows what we're gonna call him? But all I know is I'm very happy with how he came out. He is our second Death Guard we've painted, and he looks disgusting. And I'm very happy with that. So, thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourself. I will be back on Friday afternoon for a brief one for about 2 hours at 3 p.m. because I have a dentist appointment before that, and then after that I am going into the town for dinner and drinks. So that'll be a nice little evening out. Then I'll be back online on Saturday playing Soulsborne. We're going to go for Elden Ring. Start off a Cypher Pata only challenge run. Meantime, take care of yourselves and have a wonderful evening. I will see yous in the next one. Take care and bye-bye.